House Judiciary Committee held a hearing on the oversight of the FBI to examine the nation's preeminent law enforcement agency under the direction of Director Kash Patel. The hearing followed a similar one yesterday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And like yesterday, there were heated exchanges over the Epstein files. But Democrat distractions aside, what were the takeaways of note from today's hearing? Joining me now to discuss this by phone, Congresswoman Harriet Hageman, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. She represents Wyoming's at-large district, and she joins us by phone because the House is expected to have floor votes here in just a moment. Congresswoman Hageman, welcome back to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, it's so wonderful to be with you, and I'm glad that you're spotlighting these issues.
All right, so I know the Democrats continue to focus on the Epstein files, but what were the major takeaways in today's oversight hearing?
One is that the Democrats are not interested in what the FBI is doing to actually keep the American citizens and the American public safe. As you know, they talked an awful lot about Epstein and focused on something that, for the majority of Americans, they're not interested. The FBI is doing what it can to disclose what it can. This is the first agency that has actually disclosed Epstein files. The Obama administration didn't do it. The Biden administration didn't do it. So they're actually disclosing information, but that's not good enough for the Democrats because that's not the point of the hearing, or that's not the point of them going after this issue. But really, there's a couple of things that I found incredibly compelling, and one is the crime statistics that were shared with us today in terms of what the FBI is doing to get predators off of our streets, to address the pedophiles, the arrests that are being made. My questioning focused on the work that they are doing with our tribal members and our reservations in trying to push back against the Mexican drug cartels that have created so many problems for our reservations in light of the open border under Joe Biden.
So, Congresswoman, they're having to clean up the streets, the crime, because that was in many ways neglected under the previous administration. I mean, wide open borders, a lot of that came across the borders, which facilitated human trafficking. But there's also information that came out yesterday's hearing, again today's hearing, that the climate at the FBI was politicized. It was weaponized to go after conservatives. We saw the same thing under COVID. We've seen this repeatedly under the Biden administration. How are we going to get that cleaned up so that the next administration, if it is Democrat, is not able to jump right back in there and use this very important agency against American citizens?
So it is critically important that we expose what was happening. This was called Operation Arctic Fox. I'll just quote from you what Senator Chuck Grassley said yesterday during the Judiciary Committee on the Senate side. Quote, Arctic Frost wasn't just a case to politically investigate Trump. It was the vehicle by which partisan FBI agents and DOJ prosecutors could achieve their partisan ends and improperly investigate the entire Republican political apparatus. And I have gone through the report that has been shared with us that identifies what this Operation Arctic Frost was intended to do. Shockingly enough, my own consultant was one of them that they were surveilling and investigating, they being the Biden administration. Now, keep in mind, this was at the time that I was running against Liz Cheney, that the Biden administration was actually surreptitiously surveilling my own consultant, which is just absolutely shocking. But what they were doing is they used the full weight of the federal government to investigate, oh my gosh, not only my own consultant, but CPI and Mark Meadows, the America First Policy Institute, obviously Donald Trump, Turning Point USA. Now, you tell me why the FBI was being sicked on Turning Point USA when we know what that organization was about and our hero, Charlie Kirk, what he was doing, what his efforts at having a dialogue, and they targeted him with a federal investigation. Republican Attorneys General Association, the RNC, and many other organizations So this is what the Biden administration did: is they used their own FBI, their own agency, as almost a Gestapo.
Well,
against the Republican Party.
I mean, it's aptly named Arctic Frost because it was intended to chill the freedom of speech as people speak out into the political process. What measures can Congress take to ensure that as this is exposed, and I think there's a whole lot more to be exposed because we have seen the links of the FBI to groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center and others on the left. Once that's exposed, how do we clean it up and make sure it doesn't happen again?
So a couple of things. The 118th Congress, we in fact have been the 118th, and we're continuing the work of the 119th FISA reform. If you remember, during the last Congress, we made 56 different changes to FISA, and FISA is what was being used by the Obama administration to target the Trump campaign in 2016.
And for the benefit of our listeners, the FISA is basically a secret court that the public doesn't have access to.
It is, and it's about foreigners. So foreign investigating surveillance, that's what this was intended to do. Is FISA was to be directed to people who we were concerned were terrorists operating, or foreign nationals operating in or within or working with other people in the United States to wreak havoc like 9/11. So it is a court where the Obama administration, they falsified documents in order to go into FISA to get the warrants against Carter Page so that they could spy on the Trump campaign in 2016. So we made some substantial reforms to that, and we will continue to do so. It is up yet again for reauthorization in the spring of next year, of early 2026.
Well,
I'm already working with Jim Jordan on the Judiciary Committee for additional reform to address
We're going to have to leave it there, but we will follow up.